Hey everybody, welcome back. Check it out. That's right. We have the KingTwin 1700 twin engine turboprop, electric turboprop by Avios. Pretty awesome airplane. You don't see very many models like this out there, so this is really fantastic. So the specs, wingspan is 1700 millimeters or 67 inches. It is 1196 millimeters long, so 47 inches. Flying weight is 2985 grams, including battery. Battery suggestions here: Rhino 3300 4S 50C, Turnigy 4000 4S 30C, Turnigy Bolt 3450 milliamp 4S, 65 to 130C. So there you go. It's got HXT 900 servos, very well known, very durable. I've had lots of them. They work great. Here's what it came. This was in a cardboard box, and I pulled that out, and you get this. I've only peeked inside. As you can see, I haven't even totally cut the thing loose yet. I cut one side, but not the other. Let me get the rest of this baby loose so you can see what's going on. Because feast your eyes on what you get here. Look at that. Look at that. That is just cool. Let me figure out a way to set things down here real quick, and we'll get the rest of this stuff out of the box. Quick setup guide. Looks like we've probably got the, well, these might be the wingtips. So you'll notice the wingtips were not on there. They did this amazing thing here, and they just plug in. They clip in. It's got a port that has all the connections, your little spars. It's got lights in it. Yes, it has LED lights in it. You can see your HXT 900 in there. The connection is already on it. I mean, amazing. So cool. So excited for this one, guys. You'll see it's in a nice, not like overly colored scheme. So you guys are free to modify it to different other schemes. There's lots of cargo and military schemes out there. So if you wanted to repaint this, you know, make it into something different, you could. There's a light on the top of the vertical. Linkage already installed. Beautiful paint job on there. The white is the natural foam color, so it's going to be light. Where did I put my knife here? So in here we have, looks like the horizontals. They were taped down in there. So there they are. Obviously, once you glue them in place, you'll have to clip the ball links on. We got some propellers, a couple 3-bladed props. What's in here? Something down. Oh, here's the spinners and stuff. Now these spinners just screw on by hand, so if you need to take the props off to transport it, you can do it by hand, no tools. These guys just thought of everything. It's like the only thing left in here is the nice fuselage. Which is there. Let me get everything out of the bag, and then we'll look at it in a little more detail. Alright everybody, here's everything out of the packages. It's a big airplane, takes up a lot of space on my table here, so again, the wingtips, just plug in, quick disconnect, quick connections, carbon spars, lights. So some of these little scale bits will go in here. I haven't looked at the manual yet. I'm pretty sure that's where those go. You got the strake that goes underneath, or whatever you want to call it, underneath the back of the fuse. I don't think it's a strake. But here's your elevator halves. So you will glue those on and connect the ball links. Not a big deal there. The rudder out of the package, light on the top, linkage already connected. You got your light and your servo linkage. A couple more of the scale bits here. Here's a plastic nose cone. You will have to glue that on. Here's your spinners. So these will go on the motor. They got a hex drive. And then you'll crank them down with this. So that's how that will go. You got a bag here with your wing screws and a couple other little screws for something. I'm not sure yet. The main wing panel here. See how cool that looks. Yes, the model has flaps and retracts. All the wires are here. Everything is labeled. Gear, flaps, throttle, lights, ailerons, and there's a power. There's a UBC 610 here, Turnigy sticking out. Here's the bottom. Got your servo connections. You just have to connect them in. Everything's ready to go. And last but not least, the fuselage. Nose retract. Here's where the servos for the elevators are. Rudder connections are already there. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Got a big hatch on here which has clear windows. So you guys could put an FPV camera in there, or pilots, you know, stuff like that. Here's your battery bay. Pretty awesome, lots of space, looks good. Okay, well, now that we've gotten through that, let's get to the build. Okay, so the first thing they show is putting the nose cone on the front. Oop. Looks like it fits on there very easily. Their little notch goes in the bottom, so they got that set up so you can't screw that up. There's even a little notch there in the foam. So you could use foam safe CA or whatever. I'm going to use some welders. I think they use that UPOR or whatever they call that kind of glue. And then after that, it shows installing the vertical. So that looks pretty easy. So once we come back, we'll get to that. Got my glue in there. While that's kicking, I keep pushing it on. We'll move on to the rudder. So the connections are right in there, piece of cake. It looks like it's just a Y, so it doesn't matter what goes where. Got your two connections here, so we'll just plug those in. Just make sure you get the grounds to grounds, right? So black to brown, brown to brown. Positive clip in, everything looks right. And this will just snake down in there. Make sure your wires are going in, and then we'll push that down the rest of the way. So that little piece of plywood goes into a slot there, so you got to make sure it goes into the slot correctly. There we go. Pushed her on down. Okay, now we'll put the screw, one of the little screws in the side here, and that'll be done. Okay, that was easy. Now it says to trial fit the horizontal stabilizers. That's not them. So, I'm going to make sure everything fits right. As always, work your hinges, make them work free. Let me see if I can zoom you guys in a little better. Kind of show you guys a little better view. But anyways, work that stuff. You want them to be free and easy, right? Because you want it to work very well. You don't want the servos to have to work any more than they have to. That'll just fit in that slot. There we go. Okay. Piece of cake, just like that. So I'll pull it out, put some glue on it, stick it back in there. Bam. Okay, now we'll do the other side. Actually, in hindsight, I'm going to leave these free until we get the radio hooked up, because if you have to do any adjustments, we'll do that later. So we'll move on to the next step. Of hooking up the flaps and everything, and then installing the wing. Okay, so hooking up the flaps, you've got your connections. This one here is a little twisted. They're just simply going to go into the control horns here. Now it doesn't say where. I'm going to put it in the middle hole until we get the radio fired up, and then we'll be able to choose from there what kind of throws we want when we check them, right? So just kind of loosely put them all in the middle holes. Now it says to install it into the wing, or into the fuselage, sorry. So that'll be the next step. We'll feed these wires up through there and get it on. It's simply going to be just feeding everything in there. Then it'll connect in the front. Make sure none of your wires are binding, and pop the back down. And 2 screws. Excellent. Okay guys, I got it all bound up. Here you can see I've got my receiver. I just pulled the wires out here and plugged them in. So a couple little tricks here. You need to have like a 7 or 8 channel receiver to have a hole for everything. But so what I did, you'll notice here the throttles, you probably can't see it, but the throttle wires don't have the powers coming out of them to power the receiver. So that's why they have this battery eliminator and the power here. So what I did is I just took my own Y, plugged it into the Y for the throttles, and then plugged this into there, if that makes sense. So here's one of the throttles, here's the power, and wired into there. Now, same deal for the lights. I took an insignificant channel and put a Y of my own in there and plugged the lights in with the flaps. So the lights are going, you probably can't see that. Got a red flashing on the bottom, we got the flashing on the rudder, but you'll see that later because I'm just getting this powered up. But you can hear things do work. All the gear went down, pretty awesome. See if I can get that to where you guys can see it. I'm not going to be able to hold it and do that, I don't think, though. Oh, I take that back. You guys can see. Excellent. Everything works as it should. For my IX-12, I had to reverse the gear channel. I seem to always have to do that with planes. I don't know why that is, but everything seems to be working. So I can hook up the elevator linkages now and get them zeroed. I'm going to plug in the ailerons, or the wingtips, and get them zeroed. If you guys can see, let me try to zoom you guys out. Plug in the outer panel here. They're just plugged in, the green light came on. Can you see there's the green light? Aileron is working. Gosh, you gotta love that. That is so cool. Then you push the tab and pull it out. You guys got small cars. GBLynden in his little car. This will probably fit in there. So anyways, I'm going to get the rest of the stuff, linkages hooked up and throws set, and then we'll be back after that. Alright, so I've got everything adjusted. Got the wings plugged in, working, elevators working. Everything's looking pretty good other than setting throws and checking CGs here, but we've got some more bits to put on the scale pieces. We'll give you another look at those gear. Pretty awesome. So here's the little scale pieces. So this guy here is an antenna. Will go on top of the fuse. it'll fall through, so you want to make sure you glue it in and don't just push it in there and lose it. These guys here go on the wingtips, like I showed you guys earlier, so they'll just glue down into these slots. And these ones go on the rudder, the sides. Let me turn this around for you. So there's marks here on the side of the rudder. I'm doing this blind, I can't see. There, and then there'll be one on the other side. And then this piece here will go onto the bottom, underneath here. Into the slot there. So I'm going to get all those glued in, and that'll take care of the scale bits. Alright, so the only thing left is setting up the throws, and then we'll put the props on and check the center of gravity, and then do your range check and fly it. So when we come back, we'll be at the field, and we'll have a great video for you guys to enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, follow links down below in the description. If you got any questions, leave them below. I answer them all. So we'll catch you on the flight video. Can't wait. One last thing to show you guys here. Is you'll notice the props. You notice that? They're counter-rotating. Pretty cool.